What's going on, sports fans? Once again, it's K-Stu the GOAT for Vernon Speaks Sports. We're mostly talking about Auburn football. I want to give a special shout out to my fearless and true gang, War Damn Eagle. I think the SEC produces a lot of great defensive backs. Over the years, the Honey Badger at LSU, great, excellent cornerback. Greedy Williams at LSU currently. Seems like LSU a lot of times is defensive back you. Hargraves from Florida. Carlton Davis from Auburn. And a host of many others that I might not be mentioning at the time. When I think about the future for Auburn, and their defense and some of the things that have been working out in their favor during the offseason to get this defense back on track. They had a pretty good season last year considering they stayed on the field majority of the game. Still only allowed 19 points per game, including that 52 points they surrendered against Alabama. What I'm thinking in terms of is Mr. Noah Igbinoghene. I'm a real big fan of Noah. I think he's a very good football player. I think he's going to have an excellent season. He has the physicality to be, like I said before, an all-SEC cornerback. One thing that's great about him is the guy is incredibly fast. He has a lot of instincts for the cornerback position because, whether you remember or not, Noah Igbinoghene came to Auburn as a receiver. And he didn't get many touches. I think he had about 6 catches. And Auburn got to the point where they were so stacked at the wide receiver position, you kind of didn't need him on that side of the football field. So during the offseason, saw that, they kind of lacked some depth at the cornerback position, decided to switch him over to cornerback. And at first, I'm thinking, oh, man, this is not going to work. What is Auburn doing? Recruiting is getting real shaky to where we're having to rely on switching positions to get staffed in the secondary. And cornerback is not exactly the easiest position to play, especially in the SEC. So at first, I was really iffy about the move. But as it turned out, Noah Igbinoghene had a very good first year as a cornerback. One of the things that I think we're lacking with Noah Igbinoghene is obviously experience. I think a lot of times he had trust issues with himself, especially at the point of attacking the football. When it's in the air, on its way down, he had a lot of issues with grabbing that back to where, grabbing the receivers back to where it was just, the refs had to call it. He was just way too aggressive at the point of attack. Otherwise, he was usually in pretty good position, especially when they tried that fade route. Most teams tried him on that fade route because they knew of his inexperience. And a lot of times he was in excellent position. He had good hand motion as far as knocking that ball out right at the last minute. So I think Noah Igbinoghene is going to be a very, very good cornerback because he has a lot of athleticism, but he just has to find a way to not be so aggressive at the point of attack. He tackles very well. He's not afraid of the physicality of the position. So one guy that I think Noah Igbinoghene could really look at during the offseason, just kind of study film on, is CJ Henderson from Florida. I happen to look at some film on CJ Henderson, and I really think this guy is going to be a very special cornerback at Florida. He had 26 solo tackles, 2 interceptions, and 5 passes deflected. But when you look at CJ Henderson on tape, he's a very smooth cornerback. Very fundamentally sound, really makes the right plays, puts himself in the right positions to make plays against some of the more elite wide receivers in the SEC. I think he's developed very well because a lot of people don't know this about CJ Henderson, but he's also a cornerback who switched positions as well. He started out as a running back. He actually had a very, very good career running back wise at Columbus High School in Florida. came to Florida, transitioned over to the cornerback position, and that's something that has worked out very nicely for him. He has great ball skills. I really love how he finds the football. He has a real nose for the football as it's in the air, and being able to swipe that thing down to get those passes deflected. Don't allow the receiver to catch the football. I think he does very well at that. Like I said, you look at him on film, he's very smooth in transition between, getting his hips around and getting himself in position. Has those instincts that a cornerback needs to have at the elite level. Another guy that really comes to mind is former All-American cornerback from Auburn, who was actually a teammate briefly of Noah Igbinoghene, is Carlton Davis. I think Carlton Davis is a perfect example of what you want to look at for that high-level SEC cornerback. His career at Auburn, he finished with 138 tackles and 3 interceptions, and he probably could have had more interceptions, but at a certain point, they wouldn't throw the ball his way because he shut down his whole side of the football field, which I think was incredible for Carlton Davis, as he finished as an All-American. Also currently playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, having a very nice career in the NFL. And one thing I like about Carlton Davis, if Noah Igbinoghene can take that smoothness from CJ Henderson, how CJ Henderson is able to manipulate his way to the football without having pass interference called on him, and combine that with Carlton Davis, actually has a smoothness about him, but he has that aggression that Noah Igbinoghene has naturally. But he was able to translate. Carlton Davis did a good job of translating that aggressiveness to where he was able to make good stops on plays. Carlton Davis was a very in-your-face kind of player. He didn't mind hitting you. He didn't mind tackling you. He was kind of like a strong safety in a cornerback's position, but able to play the football smoothly like a cornerback does, kind of like how CJ Henderson does. But Carlton Davis has that example of how you can have that smoothness but be aggressive at the same time, which is what I think Noah Igbinoghene is trying to accomplish. And that's how Noah Igbinoghene is going to be that all-SEC player at cornerback that he can be. So I think if like I said before, if Noah Igbinoghene can look at film on CJ Henderson and Carlton Davis and put some of their skill set and put it into his repertoire, I think he could be well on his way to that. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's K-Stu the GOAT for Vernon Speaks Sports. Look out for Noah Igbinoghene and look out for the Auburn defense. I think they're going to be a top 5 defense this year. You all take it easy. And War Eagle, like, comment, and subscribe. You all take it easy.